So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Getting a book deal is like,
Listen.
girl.
I said, Mama, I made it.
Yes. Like, that is so awesome. Like, to
you.
get a book deal. And so, like, for people who don't know what that means, like, what exactly does that mean to have a book deal from a major, like, publishing company?
So getting a book deal is kind of like what we think about when we hear that our favorite singer or rapper got a music deal. I get an advance up front of X amount, and there's no criteria for what that amount might be. So one author who's a debut might get $15,000 for their first deal. Another author for their first deal might get $250,000. There's really no scale. And so I get an advance up front, and I don't get any royalties unless I earn out my advance. So basically they tell you, okay, we're giving you this money, we want this many books, and it'll come out in between this date and this date. So my first book comes out summer 2025. My next one should come out in 2026 if I stay on my deadlines.
And so how many books do you have in your contract?
Just 2.
Oh, wow.
So
that is so awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I said, okay, well, y'all stuck with me. So
no, for real. It's giving Carrie Bradshaw.
It's giving Carrie Bradshaw in the apartment, tapping away.
It's very much giving it. And so that's what kind of prompted you to say, you know what, like, I'm moving out of the publishing industry and really pursuing my dreams.
It did get what I believe to be a substantial amount for a debut. Now, if I don't get that again, you know what? Thank God for the first time.
No, yeah.
And really, it wasn't my plan to quit because I like a steady paycheck. I like a bi-weekly paycheck. Book deals do not look like that. Book deals are based on when you turn your stuff in. So, like, it's like, okay, you'll get X amount, or, you know, let's just say you'll get $30,000 when you turn in the first draft. You'll get 30 more thousand when you turn in the final draft. You'll get 30 more when the book comes out. You'll get 30 more. And so it kind of keeps going like that. If you don't have budgeting together, that's not gonna work for you.
No, yeah, I hear, because it's like a big lump sum.
Yeah, so it's like I have to pull out my own taxes. I have to, you know, talk to my accountant and be like, hey, how much should I be paying every quarter for this, whatever. So I never really planned on quitting my job, but it was to a point where mentally I needed to, and I had been thinking about it for a while, and I wanted to stick it out, but I was like, you know what? Let's figure something out, and then, you know, if I need to start working full time again, I will. Right now, I'm just doing part time.
As a person who has quit their job,
sometimes you gotta quit.
Sometimes you have to quit. Like, honestly, I feel like the worst thing is like dragging it out, because it makes you very resentful.
Yeah.
And even like, to me, so I end up quitting education, which you're now in. Yes, we talked about this.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get so much, like, I get very emotional when I'm going into a classroom, or even like I live right across the street from like a school now. Yeah. And I can hear like them calling the kids in for recess. And I'm like, Lord, not my trauma.
Right.
But like, I'm like, I'm stressed out. I'm not even doing anything. But I feel like because I dragged it out and I just didn't leave because I was afraid. And I think that's what most people do. They're afraid, like, where's my next paycheck going to come from? So it's just like a tested amount of faith that you just have in yourself to be in, like, whatever, like, like, I believe in God, so like
Same.
Being able to just really get you through that point, and especially with you, like, you already kind of had something lined up,
and so I was waiting for that. I was like, literally, I just was like, okay, this check is about to drop in like a month. I have this much in my savings. I have this. We got to take a leap of faith. And like, I believe in God and I be praying, honey, but I'm not a leap of faith kind of girl. Like, I have always been, okay, you go to college. Okay, you go get your master's. Okay, you get this job. Okay, you don't leave this one till you have this one. Right. You don't leave this one. And so...
And it's encouraged by, like, our parents. Like, that generation is not the generation that's like... Well, at least speaking from my household. I can't speak for everybody else.
Right.
But in my household, it is not the... It's to follow your dreams, but it's a lot of stability that needs to be in there while you trying to follow your dreams.
Honey, my family will stay at a job.
Yeah.
Stay at a job. And my mama texted me... Well, maybe I shouldn't say that.
It ain't gonna be edited.
Right. But like, my family will stay at a job, and I think I've always been that way too, because I'm like, well, if it could be so much worse, or it could be but look at the money, And sometimes that's not enough.
It's not. Like, I feel like your mental health is just, like, so important. Right. Like, I have, like, people that I know now that are making so much money and they're miserable.
Yeah, and what good is it?
What good is it? Like, I don't want to be stressed out. Right. Like, I just don't. I don't want to be poor.
Listen.
I don't speak that. However, like, I think that when you see signs where it's time to move,
then you have to move.
You got to move.
You have to move. And I look back and I'm like, you know, I don't know what the book coming out and the book I'm writing now, I don't know what it would have looked like had I stayed. So I just really feel like
you needed every bit of good energy, good space to be able to produce good content.
Yes.
And so, okay, so what is the book about? Let's talk about the first book.
Yes.
What is it about?
Okay.
You already have a name.
Right. So Under the Neon Lights is a novel in verse, and that just means it's in poems. So it's like a story told in poems for teens.
Wow.
And it's about Jaelyn, a 16-year-old Black girl who falls in love at the skating rink, but it closes due to gentrification. So it's a story that really talks about complex family dynamics, the power of community, first loves, and female friendship, because there is, you know, a strong female friendship there. So it's about a lot of things, but
I love that you're talking about friendships. You're talking about Black women.
Yeah.
You're talking about Black women.
Yes.
Because I don't know why it's like, it is a thing in like the Black women community where it's like people don't keep friends.
No. And one thing about me, I've had friends.
Girl, I got a lot of friends.
Listen, I got a lot of friends.
We both got a lot of friends.
And my friends are always like, girl, you have so many friends. I'm like,
I know.
But I think it's so important, especially as I get older, it's so important for us as women to care about our friends and have that community around us, because they're going to be there when the man ain't. And they're going to be there.
And we love forgiving. We love forgiving. We love forgiving a nigga.
We do.
But so, we don't like forgiving our friends.
And so it's like, I think when I wrote that, I really had to grapple with my own relationships to my friendships and like what forgiveness looks like, and when you need to take space.
I love that. Yeah. Taking space is really good too. I feel like as you get older, like you realize that people, first of all, people are busy.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things you notice as an adult is that people are busy. You're busy writing a book.
Yes.
Like, let's be for real. Right. You're busy writing a book, and so like you have to grant people grace that their lives are just different.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's wild, because it's like I feel like every month my friendships are shifting in some way, and not because of something that we've all done, but because of the busyness. It's like, okay, this person is prioritizing, you know, their faith walk this month, and so that might look like we don't go do this anymore, and maybe we go do this instead, or you know.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You have friends that are getting married right now,
right? Yes, plenty of weddings this year.
It's a lot of weddings. It's a lot of kids. It's a lot of baby birthdays.
Right. Yes.
And we can't, like, we not going to the club no more. No. Like, we're just not.
And we're tired.
Girl, I think I had my last holiday where I just can't go to the club anymore. Yeah. Like, Thanksgiving, I was tired.
Listen, Thanksgiving is my dad's birthday weekend. He was here. He had me going out. I said, listen, sir, I know you don't go out, but I go out, and so I'm tired. I don't want to do this.
And I will say, I know you are definitely a socialite.
Yes, yeah.
Do you feel like your character reflects a lot of your personal stories about your life, and how has your life influenced the writing?
Yeah, I feel like Jaelyn is who I was when I was a little bit younger than her. So
how old is she in the book?
She's 16.
Okay.
And I feel like when I was like maybe 12, 13, I was her. I was like the shy girl who didn't really have a voice, and it's like, I tell people this and they don't believe. They're like, you next girl. But like back then I was not very loud. I just wasn't very sure of myself. And I think when you're not sure of yourself, you do end up like Jaelyn, who's scared to bite back, who lets something run over her over and over again until she's finally like, hold on, like this is mine, whether it be me, this is mine, or, you know, this rink is mine or whatever. But also I used to go to the rink all the time. Like when I was a teen.
Now You're from the Midwest.
Yes, so I was in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So
we do skate in the Midwest.
Yes, we love to skate in the Midwest. So I was back then, when I was really young, it was called United Skates, but now it's called Skateland.
Okay.
So we used to go there every weekend, and that's what we did. That's what we had. So that is really what inspired me to write a story about the skating rink. Like, I mean, I still go sometimes.
You do go. I've seen you go in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's just like there aren't really a lot of places left for teens to go be teens. Mm-hmm. You can't go to the mall without a chaperone, or that you got to get out by this time.
Yeah.
I don't even know what clubs are for kids that age anymore. So it's like,
we used to have clubs in Chicago for teens.
See, I'm not so. We had a couple in Indy, but I don't know what happened to. I do know what happened. I'm not.
Well, you know, Chicago. You know what happened to us.
Well, and that's what happened to Indy.
Yeah. So yeah, no.
So the spaces don't last long for Black teens anywhere. So I was like, you know what? Let's talk about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. What message or impact do you hope that readers will take away from this story?
I think what I care about most, while I love the romance in the book, that's like my favorite. And I think the love interest, Trey, is just he's so sweet.
But was that sparked by a love interest?
A few of them.
I wasn't even going to talk about dating in your segment. However,
but I like to think about the best things of certain people and bring those into my characters.
Do you know that's probably my problem with my second book, obviously, because the way that so a part of I would say Savage Season. I don't think I've even explained it yet. But what I think you appreciate about it too is 4 different segments. It's career, dating, finances, and health is what I talked about. And dating was such a big part of it. And I was always like, well, you shouldn't be worried about nothing if you didn't treat me crazy. Anyway, in life. Listen. I'm going to talk good about you as long as you treated me right.
Right, exactly.
And I literally... I ended up having to apologize, which I just did it out of my own, because most of the guys that I wrote about during that time, I sent it to them. I let them look at it like, hey, this is what's happening. This is my experience. And I always took a lesson out of it. But it was one experience. It was not sitting well with this guy.
Oh, no.
And it was the root of the next few years of us seeing each other. And it was such a toxic interaction between us. And it wasn't until literally I moved to Dallas, maybe my first year, which had been a few years. Savage Season was wrote in 2018, and I've been here for 2 years. Right. And I just called him one day. I was like, you know what, I want to apologize, because although writing is our experiences, it didn't allow the world to see your perspective of the relationship, and I feel like that just comes with maturity and growing as women and. Giving the guys grace, giving your partner, whoever you date, grace, and I'm trying to if you're going to showcase or you're going to put it out there, also understand that it's two people
who are affected, and that's the hard thing. And this is why I write fiction now, because they're not about to be calling my phone. But,
girl, they was calling my phone.
I know they were, but I have written nonfiction, personal essays that have been published somewhere, and next thing you know, I'm blocked, and I'm like. Okay, well,
they be mad. That. They don't like it. They be.
And so I haven't written one since, because I would love to write about my dating life. I think there's an author. I should send you the link to this. Minda Honey. She wrote a book called The Heartbreak Years, and it's literally just her dating after her biggest breakup in her early 20s to kind of when she just figured out some other things, but. She was talking about everybody that she was dating. I don't know if those were real names, but I'm sure they were real experiences. And I'm just I would love to do that. I feel like my dating life has taught me so much. It's taught me a lot about myself as a woman. It's also taught me how to write romance or, what qualities I believe, especially in a teen romance, that my character should be looking for or should be mindful of. Because I think as adults, we make a lot of concessions, but I think for a teen, if a Black girl is going to pick up my book, I don't want her to see concessions being made. I want her to see a good person, and, you know, perhaps he made a mistake, but like there was some forgiveness that happened, not because, oh, I like him so much, but because he deserves to be forgiven.
Let me just speak on your brilliance real quick, because first of all, people don't know, like, writing fiction is so hard.
It is.
Like,
I'm pulling stuff out of thin air.
You're just pulling stuff. Like, I'm a Harry Potter fan. Don't get me wrong. I am not a reader. I am a writer.
I know that's right.
And I do audiobooks, and I love film.
You should do audiobooks. I love audiobooks.
I love film.
Okay.
And so when
I'm not a big film, I got to get into the film.
Girl, when I think about J.K. Rowling and the details, Harry Potter is a really good, like, place to start if you want to think about how intricate people are thinking when they're writing fiction. Like, how you think that this peeling off the wall?
Right.
Y'all
like,
are literally.
How is that a detail?
It's really in the details. And so when I think about you not only writing about romance, but being able to go back to a place that you once were, and remembering what it felt like, what emotions you had during that time. Like, and write from multiple perspectives, because you're not just writing from her perspective, you're writing from his perspective. When you're thinking about the friendships, you're writing about the different characters.
And who they are, what rounds them out.
Girl, you got a good mind in there. Like, I'm just saying, I know who I be bringing on here, and I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like, it's so fun. And I think because I'm writing for teens, I'm able to draw from even like my adult experiences. Like, it's, you know, I know a lot of people like to say, like, oh, I wrote the book that I needed when I was this age. I wrote the book that I needed right now.
I love it.
Like, I wrote the book that adult Arriel needed.
Wow.
Because teen me, I mean, I don't know. Teen me was just a teen. I don't know that I needed that. And I think that's kind of like what we hang on to. But I'm writing books that I need right now that I think that teens also need right now. Perhaps not young me, but young somebody else.
Do you feel like it was a part of your healing for sure as a teen? Because you didn't talk too much about necessarily it being like trauma, which I don't always think it necessarily is, but just being able to see like different versions of you that you may have like forgotten about, or maybe affecting your reactions and how you are as an adult.
I definitely think so, because part of the complex family dynamics in the book is like her relationship with her dad. And
so are you more of, I know you were a little bit more reserved when it comes to dating, and so the other genres of her life, do you feel like you're much more vulnerable being able to put your personal experiences in there? Okay.
So
wow.
So it's like I mean, because like I think I am comfortable talking about like the way I grew up, which I was mostly raised by my mom and grandma, and my dad for a while was in and out, and not because he was trying to be a terrible father, but just because of finances. So it wasn't until like late middle school, early high school where me and him really like started building a substantial relationship where I could like trust him and things like that. And that I'm always willing to talk about, but it's these men that I be dating, I don't be willing to talk about.
Do you feel like because I always say like I ain't got no daddy issues, my daddy was here. However, it's certain qualities that I see in the way that I do date, or the way that I talk about men, that I think attribute from my relationship with my dad.
Absolutely. I would agree. Like one of my friends, she's also an author, Leah Johnson. She's like, you know, I keep writing these, either I'm writing a character who the dad does not exist in the book, or I'm writing a character who the dad is like villain, kind of terrible.
Oh, wow.
And so we had to talk about that and be like, what, you know, do we write two-parent households if we didn't like come from that, or if we didn't get that until really late in our childhood?
Do you get emotional?
I think sometimes, but I don't know, because I also am really close with my dad. Like, you know, he was just here. We was outside. We were
kicking it. Yeah.
We were kicking it. But I think, like a lot of Black families, it's not like we sat and had conversations about that, you know. So when I'm doing my processing, I'm doing it by myself, and that's not to say, but I'm also not asking him to have, you know, I'm not like, hey, we should actually talk about. I don't know that I'm there.
Are you in therapy?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly about these men. But, but it always stems back to your family,
Yeah.
So
I feel you. I asked that because it was at one point which my books are so poorly edited because I was doing self-publishing.
Girl, listen.
And trying to read back through like situations.
I don't want to do it.
It's very difficult.
Especially since it's nonfiction. Yours is like personal.
Yeah, it's very personal. So even now I'm writing and I was like, F this, I'm finna just do my podcast. Because I was writing a lot about what I was unpacking in therapy. Okay. And for me, it was the judgment piece.
Yes.
From like a child, like always feeling like I had to be the best. Right. And my father was in a leadership position. He's a pastor. So like I always felt like somebody was always watching what I was doing. Yeah. And so for me to have to go back and revisit childhood, write it down, like writing for me was always the therapy part and I was able to kind of release it. Yeah. But then having to go back to and read it, I wasn't ready.
No. And it's like, I used to edit personal essays for this online magazine that is no longer exists, but it was fun while it lasted. And I used to get so many essay pitches that I was like, oh, this is great. And then once they write it, I would be like, you're not ready, babe. You're not ready. Yeah. And it's so hard to tell somebody that, but it's like, you don't know, but you're still sitting in that trauma right now. Yeah. And I'm just, you're supposed to be your editor, so I can't tell you to go to therapy, but you need to process this out a little bit more before you put it on the page. But it's like, I can see that because I wasn't in it. But, they're writing it and they think they're ready. It's hard.
It's Vinson.
Yes.
It literally turned, like, let me tell you, my first book, Black Girl in China, was Vinson. Me venting about China. Yeah. How China was getting on my nerves every day. It wasn't really like no full, like.
Full circle.
It wasn't a full circle. It inspired people to go to China. However, most of it was Vinson.
And you know what? That's okay.
That is
so we have to vent somewhere.
We do have to vent somewhere. That is very true. I have one more question just on your like creativity, and then I want to ask you a little bit about balancing careers. Okay. As a fiction writer, have you done any scary books? Because I tried to write a scary book, and girl, now I start scaring myself because I was trying to write it. I'm like, oh, I need to turn the light on. I'm trying to be in my zone.
I haven't. My mom is a big scary movie, scary book, scary whatever, and I'm just not that girl. But I like to read. They call it like dark academia. So like somebody gets killed at a school or something like that, but like not like a shooting, but like kind of like
Gossip Girl.
Yes, like that, but like worse. So like maybe Pretty Little Liars, more like that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
I like to. It's not I don't like right, right. But it's those are the type of things I'm like. That's probably as scary as I would get. Like something has happened to somebody. We don't know who did it. That's all I got.
So more mystery.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
like Mafia.
Right. Because girl, I'm scary. But I think they're so well done. I can't even imagine I feel like that part of my imagination is not there. It's not there.
Yeah, no, I would definitely commend you if you.
Right. Well, I'll let you listen. If I ever do, I'm gonna be like, girl.
Don't worry, I ain't gonna read it.
I know.
Don't worry, I ain't gonna read it.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about balancing careers and creativity. How do you balance your work as an author with the rest of your life?
It's hard.
Especially because you have a lot of autonomy over how you work. And when you work.
What is messing me up, honey. So I think, when I first quit my job in March, I was on deadline for book one. So I was kind of like pounding the pavement. And
how many pages are you looking at, by the way?
Because it's written in poems, it's like 380. Poems. Just right. Thank you.
These people do not know how hard it is. Like people be struggling over a 20-page essay, a research paper. Meanwhile, okay.
And it's like, and so I'm looking at these 380 pages every time they return it back to me to do a next round of edits. I'm like, please. So like, I think.
How many edits did you go through?
3 rounds, not including what I did with my agent before we took it out on submission to editors. Before we tried to sell it.
So I think we didn't finish it because I had interrupted you and pivoted a little bit. So you went to get a agent first.
Yep. And then she and I worked together. So basically, again, back when X or Twitter was a thing, like you could publish an essay and an agent would DM you and be like, hey, if you have a book coming out or if you're working on some, when it's ready, can you let me know? And so I kind of had some people in the tuck that I could at least query if I felt like they were fitting for my book. But then I did this fellowship under Reese's book club, like Reese Witherspoon book club. And it's like for 5 women. Yeah. So we were the first cohort to do it. And you get like a little, it was COVID. So we got everything online. We didn't get to meet in person, but, but you get like a little weekend kind of training about the publishing industry. And then from there you get a mentor who is like a Reese's book club pick. And they kind of help you through your manuscript, give you comments, whatever. And then from there, you're supposed to query. And I say supposed to because I didn't query an agent until...
When you say query, what do you mean?
So querying an agent is when you write up a query letter. And a query letter is, this is what my book's about, summary. This is what my book's about. This is how many words it is. This is why I'm the person to write it, and this is why you're the person to represent it. Okay. So it's just basically an interest letter. Okay. So I didn't query when we were supposed to. I didn't query until like October. I was supposed to query in June. It wasn't ready.
Okay.
Right.
Don't rush.
Right.
Can't rush God. Can't rush God.
So I had queried. And mind you, like I had talked to the agent that I wanted on the phone for that fellowship, but that was supposed to be just here's what you look for when you talk to an agent. Here's what you look for, blah blah blah. And then at the end of the call, she goes, "Okay, well if you want to send it to me when you're ready, just like put this as the subject line, and you can kind of forego waiting forever." And I was like, "Oh, okay, say less." So I queried her as soon as I was ready.
Wow.
And that was like my dream. She's my dream agent. So I'm like,
wow.
I'm surprised I have her.
Come on.
Thank you.
You said God was doing more than what you even imagined. Come on, testimony.
Because again, shoot high, it might happen, it might not. And in this case, it happened. And I think the thing about publishing is sometimes it's just about luck. It's not always about merit, which is interesting. But
wow.
So from there, we worked on the book for, I think, frankly, another year. Because again, I write slow, and that's not even I write slow. I did not have a balance of my writing life yet.
Okay.
And then
because you were still working at the time too.
Yes, I was working. Let's see, was I still in New York? No, I was back in Indiana. So I was adjusting to having left New York and going back to my hometown.
How long would you say it took to actually get to the deal from the first poem that you wrote?
Ooh.
Because I know sometimes our stories, it takes like 5 years to even finish 3 paragraphs.
Right.
Sometimes. So from the first time you put pen to paper on like the first poem that's going in the book to getting a book deal, because I want people to also be realistic. And I always tell people like the longest part about if you want to write a book is writing, because you really have to be disciplined.
Because you have to do it first.
You have to before anybody else do it. Like you have to want it before anybody else wants it. So how long do you think that process took for you in this book that you're coming out with?
Let's see. I wrote I think I wrote what I thought was going to be part of it, like, the beginning of it, in the end of 2018.
2018, 19, 20, 21, 22,
I got my book deal in 23.
You got your book deal in 23. So what was that, like 6 years?
Girl, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, like, to speak to the writing life and my balance of things, a lot of it is I did not have, like, once I left grad school, where I was there literally to get a degree in fiction, like that was where I worked a lot. I had a million jobs, but I also had a space where I'm here to write and to write only.
Nice.
So once you leave that bubble and you got to go work a corporate job, and you
got to fund the capital.
Right.
And I'm doing it now.
Come on.
Funding the podcast.
You're right. You're trying to fund all these things that you want to do.
Yeah.
The writing goes on the back burner because it's already hard to begin with. So why would I come every day to something that's hard?
Right.
And it took me so long because, like, I had screenshotted all these, like, oh, you know, if you finish the book, the check gonna come and da-da-da. And what difference did it make if I wasn't going to come to the computer every day and write the thing? Mm-hmm. So I think, like, my balance, I'm still figuring out the balance because I still feel like I'm new to Dallas. And
how long have you lived in Dallas?
Almost 2 years. February will be 2.
Okay. Yeah. I just made mine 2 in October.
Ah.
How are you liking Dallas?
I like it, girl. It's too hot in the summer, though. I know that.
You just stay inside.
Yeah.
That's y'all problem. Y'all like to be outside.
That AC be kicking.
I tell people, like, my AC, even when I'm gone, my AC is on.
Yeah, because
it never turns off.
When I come back.
Because when I come back, I need it to still be cool.
It needs to be cool.
Exactly. Do you also have a mentor within the writing community?
Yeah. So my friend that I mentioned earlier, Leah Johnson, that's my girl. That's my girl. So we met in undergrad. Nice. And then we went to the same grad school, but she's like a year above me. Mm-hmm. So I've just been watching her publishing journey, and it has taught us both what to do and what not to do. But I get to learn the easy way because I'm watching her.
Right, because you're watching her. You ain't spending your money, your time. Right. No, that's good. So, that's what mentorship is about.
Yeah, and I don't know that, like, she would call herself that. Maybe she would, but definitely, like, if I have a publishing question, I'm coming to her first.
Right.
Because I also trust her. Like, I trust her with my life. So I can come to her and be like, girl, I think they got me messed up. Do they got me messed up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And is she a Black woman?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's a queer Black woman, so she's had it harder than I have so far in what opportunities she gets and how she's being treated. And that's not to say, because she has a bomb career. You know, she has gotten so many things. She's worked hard for so many things. But, like, there are still times where her book is banned in certain states, or her books, rather, are banned in certain states.
Is it more because of who she is as an author, or is it because of her content?
The content, which is just, these are 2 girls that like each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I've had to watch that, and then that also makes me think about how I'm showing up for my peers and my counterparts because, like, as a straight person, I have it easier.
You do, yeah.
I just do. Now, granted, as a Black woman, you ain't never got it easier, but
nope.
but I do have some privileges here that some folks don't.
Yeah.
And so as I continue in the publishing industry, I got to figure out, like, how to continue to show up for those who don't have the same privileges as me.
I love that. I definitely want to make sure that we plug your book again. So if you can just tell us again the title, what you want people to know as your lasting just thoughts as Arriel, an author. Yeah. What would you say to just your Savage Season viewers to inspire them?
Yeah.
Go.
Under the Neon Lights by me is out June 3rd, 2025 with Penguin Teen. You can get it. You can pre-order it at your local bookstore. I would say Amazon, but I would prefer you order it from your local bookstore so you can support bookstores and they can stay in business. I would like to say that sometimes you got to take that leap of faith. I think it makes all the difference. And even if that doesn't look like quitting your job, or if it doesn't look like just doing something extreme, moving to a different state, but take that chance on yourself because nobody else going to do it for you. They never are. They never are. They actually sometimes, especially at work, benefit from you not taking that chance on yourself.
That part.
So take it because nobody else is going to do it for you, and it could change your life.
I love it. I love it. I love the chapter that you're in. I love the season that you're in. This is Ayanna Faye, and it is a Savage Season always. It's a wrap.
Thank you.